Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you was never meant to be heard. In a hidden workshop on the outskirts of colonial Boston, human bodies were transformed, not for medicine, but for profit. For nearly 50 years, one family controlled a horrifying trade in bones, relics, and ritual. Their name erased from history books. But tonight, their story returns. The Whitmores. Settlers in 1650. Led by Elias Whitmore, a merchant with a secret. He wasn't just moving goods. Behind the walls of his modest home, he experimented on the dead, preserving flesh, stripping bone, crafting what he called eternal devotion. The church called him a heretic. Neighbors whispered about bones in his cellar. And then one Sunday, Elias silenced them all, with a holy relic. A finger bone, polished, presented as proof of divine power. They believed. And darkness spread. His sons, Isaac, Jonathan, and Samuel, took the trade further. By 1710, the Whitmore workshop stood tall. Windowless. Silent. Parishioners brought the bodies of their loved ones, trusting they'd be honored. But the Whitmores weren't honoring anyone. A malnourished servant. A traveler with no kin. A widowed mother. Their bones, bleached and polished, sold across New England as sacred artifacts. The family grew wealthy. The community grew blind. They called it faith. But this was power. The Whitmores didn't just supply relics, they controlled belief itself. Those who questioned them vanished. And those who obeyed, paid in gold for scraps of sanctity. In 1745, Jonathan Whitmore commissioned an entire line of complete skeletons. Relic sets. Displayed in churches. Private homes. Priests chanted before them, begging miracles. And the Whitmores priced each bone by size, demand, and supposed spiritual potency. But cracks began to form. A visiting monk refused to bless their reliquary, calling it evil bonework. Villagers reported midnight screams near the workshop. Then in 1770, a fire burned part of their operation, but the vault survived. And the trade continued. The Revolutionary War brought scrutiny. In 1782, colonial officials raided the Whitmore vault. Inside, hundreds of labeled bones. Each tagged with names: Sarah Wilkinson, Peter Knox, Abigail Turner. Lives reduced to fragments. But Jonathan Whitmore escaped, fleeing to France with his fortune. And yet, the Whitmore legacy never truly died. By 1840, in Boston's Museum of Curiosities, a lawyer examined a reliquary, a golden box, holding 3 tiny bone shards. Beneath it, a code, sanctified 1805. But whose bones were they? Today, fragments of their work remain scattered across museums and private collections. Relics, still believed to hold power, still worshipped as sacred. The Whitmore name is gone. But the blueprint they created lives on. And now, listen closely. You're not just hearing a story. You're seeing the truth behind centuries of faith, greed, and manipulation. If you understand the gravity of what you've heard, prove it. In the comments, write, I refuse their relics. Write it twice. This isn't just an act. It's a ritual, your first step in breaking their hold. The Whitmores weren't holy men. They were architects of control. They turned flesh into symbols. Symbols into currency. And currency, into absolute power. But the world hasn't changed. Today's relics may look different, branded icons, packaged sanctity, promises of healing. We still buy them. We still kneel. The Whitmores showed us how easily belief can be weaponized. So look deeper. When you see golden reliquaries in a church, or sacred artifacts behind glass, ask yourself, whose bones are you worshipping? And why do they want you to kneel? This isn't just history. It's a warning. If the Whitmores taught us anything, it's this: the real monsters aren't supernatural, they're human. Driven by greed. Cloaked in faith. And they walk among us still. Now you decide. Share this truth or let it rot in silence. Comment, "I refuse their relics," again, and let this community know you're awake. Subscribe for more forbidden history, because what comes next will shatter your idea of good and evil. This channel isn't for everyone. Asterisk, but you're still here. Aren't you? Asterisk.